I long the bottom, I shorted the top, and I'm long again. We got a great move off the bottom here. And so I just want to discuss why I'm long here. Give you guys a little bit of uh, insight into how I'm seeing things, the Elliott Wave situations that are presented to us now that we have this kind of impulse off the lows. And yeah, we'll just see how we can play this. So let's get right into it. Always, I have to remind you that we're working in this large impulse to the upside. I'm going to zoom out real quick just so you can really see what I'm talking about here. Uh, we'll discuss it another way. This is a pretty impulsive market that's been going on for a while. We have a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and then we're working in this extended fifth wave to the upside. So far, there's no other way for me to call this unless we're calling for a bear market scenario starting right here, which is totally possible. But given some other details I'm going to present, I don't think that that's the main case, so I'm not going to trade for it. Either way, let's get into this on the shorter time frames real quick. The idea is that we're working for this wave 2. The wave 2 we're looking for could be completed right here. I have it marked here as if it was completed. Really, my base case is something more like this. We're working for this WXY to the downside, and this is just some sort of shallow pullback that we're going to get. A dead cat bounce, you could say. And hopefully we find support somewhere just below this low or right below that low right there, that pivot. We could also find it right here. This would be my main, like my last target right there. If we get this one down here, then it's starting to look a little iffy, but you know, it works with a trend line bounce right there. Either way, I'm looking for a sharper pullback. This isn't new. I've been sharing this quite a lot, but it's good to reiterate so you can see how I'm trading this. So I have I have 3 scenarios on the board. I always play with multiple scenarios because you have to be ready for anything. And so really what helps me win in this market is the fact that I'm playing as if the other scenarios could be playing out as well. So it keeps me safe. It keeps me winning even though I may be in a losing trade. This could very well be a losing trade. But I'm going to talk about why it might be, why it might not be, and see what we can figure out here together. So I've already shown you this scenario, which has some pretty solid confluence here. We have what looks like a pretty solid 5-wave move with an ending diagonal right there to mark an A wave. And now we're just working towards this B wave to the upside, which already kind of gives you an idea of how I should play this long. So we have this B wave right there ending probably at the 618. It could go just over and hit the 786 and bounce off this trend line. And then we come down. I'm sitting in a short. I already took profits right here. If the short continues, and so either way, if the long doesn't work, I'm getting paid. That's the whole point of this. So the idea is that we take profits right up there. Just in case it's the more bearish scenario, the one I have here on the chart. So let's look at some of the more bullish scenarios and see why they kind of make sense, and talk about the profit targets for this long. So we have this, which is considering this a 5-wave move, an impulse. Previously in the X wave count, we're counting it as like a triple correction, which is also a 5-wave move where you have impulses for W, Y, and Z, and you have corrections for each X wave. And it's making that shape. It certainly works. So you can also do the same here. And I haven't drawn this out, but this is supposed to be a triangle right here. Something like that. Just to make it make sense. And so how can we make this into a correction, right? Because evidently it looks like a 5-wave move, right? You got a 1-2, a shallow one, a sharp one at that. It was very quick, big wave 3, and then some sort of running flat shallow impulse or shallow correction, for wave 4. So it works. It makes sense. as an impulse to the downside. So this is already kind of telling you why it's not my base case to call this an impulse to the downside, but it does still work. It certainly works. So not an impulse, sorry, a correction to the downside. I do need to adjust this one a little bit, unfortunately, but that's fine. Calling this a three-wave move is a bit odd, but it certainly works. And I'll get into the specifics on it. Very interesting. Maybe I didn't put it in there. Whatever. We'll talk about it. So the way I have this, this is one of the scenarios I have, which is that we have a bottom, not a major bottom here. It's just a fake out bottom, and oh, you know what? That makes more sense why I had the impulse there. I'm tripping. Okay, so we're gonna put that impulse back. There it is. So in the case that is scenario A, which I think is potentially pretty likely, it could happen. We have this, once again, this is, we're utilizing this impulse. It makes sense. And we get a corrective B move to the upside, either sweeps this high into the trending structure, or it just bounces off the GP and we're done. A very shortable opportunity, I must say. And so what we do is we get this lower, this higher low right here, potentially bouncing off of this trending structure, and or all the way down here at the 786, which I think this scenario actually is quite likely. It could totally happen, and it would look cleaner structurally and time-wise as well, because this has gone out for quite a long time. You extrapolate that over to the correction side, it's quite short as of now. For it to be completed right there, it's quite short. You'd want it to see it be a little longer for symmetry purposes. Sorry. So let's talk about scenario B, which is the one that is in alignment with my long, which is that we have this A wave, this very small B wave, and then we have this large C wave to the downside that is essentially just a large wave 1, and then we have 3, 4, 5 for the ending diagonal. So this totally works. It seems valid. The only thing is very short, it's very quick, and it feels forced, frankly. But because it's a scenario that is valid and it's on the board, I have to play for it. So I'm sitting long here with once again a TP1 right there, and I will potentially take a TP2 as we break the highs. As we come into contact with this trending structure up here, take a TP2, and then leave the rest for another interaction with trending structure way up at 140, 160K. That'll be the main target price. So that's kind of like the game plan here. But you can see how, like, the beautiful thing about this is that sitting short allows me to feel okay with taking a stab at a setup here, even though my main case is something worse, like a much larger downside push. But I can also play this long in a way that secures profits. I still win at the end of the day, and it's just a beautiful thing. It's a wonderful way to play this. So and it really just pairs nicely with the Elliott Wave theory. So I'm sitting in a good spot here. What else? I do want to discuss the larger macro view, because global liquidity is one of those drivers that's leading me to believe that, like, we're going to continue pushing to the upside, just because it keeps making new highs, and new highs is exactly what you want to see in global liquidity, to continue pushing these markets up. And so looking at this chart, you can kind of see more in more detail the Elliott Wave structure that we're looking for. Rejection areas right around here, just before these fib extensions, as well as the support targets. Like, this has all been going according to plan. It's amazing. I drew this out like a while ago, way up here. I was drawing this out, and it's just following it to the T. So it looks beautiful. So Yeah, I'm gonna keep these updates going, see what happens. Um, 98K, 97K is really like the best profit target right here, or not profit target, but uh, bounce target. Like this is like the worst case scenario. I don't want to see anything lower than this. Yeah, that's about it. And that pretty much covers it. Yeah, pretty much. You guys are killing it. We'll see what happens on the next one.